So, hi everybody, and welcome to this inspiration walk. Today, we're going to explore the world of inspiration and see what inspires you to do the things that you do, whether you're a creative artist, or whether you just like to do the occasional doodle. Maybe there's some things you like to do, inspire you to create those ideas. I'm going to look today at some close ups of textures around me and some colors, man made objects interacting with nature. Going to call some of these areas maybe fringe areas where things connect together and you can see just how those textures come through in music if you listen. Now, I've been putting a lot of my music online lately. It's been something I wanted to do for a while, but I've not had the time to get too much of it on. So I'll try and share some of that with you and also a bit behind the creative process as well. So we're walking today alongside the beautiful River Hull, some farm buildings across the other side. And we can see all these different textures coming together, all the colours of the landscape that have inspired so many artists over the years. So let's pop down to the riverbank and see what we can spot down here. Just going to head down to this lovely tree, see what we can find down here. Seems to be a little way here. Must be careful as we move down. I hope you can hear the sounds that I can hear. And the water gently trickling by. If we head over here, you can just have a little look at this tree. Springtime here in the UK. It looks warmer than it is. It's actually only about probably 8 or 9 degrees at the moment. Let's just pretend it's warm. So we can see on this tree it's starting to grow now. And soon everything will be back in bloom. Nothing's going to inspire like nature. Okay, so we're going to head down here and just take a little look. Hope I don't slip. So we've got our first little bit of man-made structure here to have a look at. So this is a really good example of a man-made structure with texture on. You can see here all of the lichen that's growing on the side of this old concrete post. And then we've got the rather jagged barbed wire coming out of it as well. It's an extremely good texture to try and take on board. The life growing on there. And also the barbed wire keeping life out, maybe from an ancient field. There's actually a lot of this running along the side of the river. I'll try and get some more shots off to show you. So this post is amazing. It's actually fallen over a little bit. I'll try and show you a wider shot of it. You can see it's toppled over. There's barbed wire still sticking out of it. And we've got all of the lichen growing on top. This wonderful connection of nature, man-made items. Barbed wire trickling off here into the undergrowth. So as we walk along, let's try and take in some more of those wonderful textures, colours and sounds. We've got the great greens and blues today, probably enhanced by the camera. Still, they do look pretty similar in real life. We've got all of the UK springtime things emerging now, leaves growing on the trees alongside the river. All the birds are fully in action today, so we should hear lots of great sounds as well. As we walk along, you can see the different features interacting with each other. The leaves reaching up into the sky, tangled branches of these ancient trees. You can see that barbed wire fence now running along the side path that we're on. Notice as well, around this area we've still got telegraph poles which carry the telephone signals along. Going to have a look at a very special one of those a little bit later. And I'll show you just what's happened to it. So I've just found an excellent collection of textures down here on the riverbank. I'm going to head down towards, and then you can start having a look at these catkins on this tree a little closer up. Just hold them steady so we can get some in focus. You can really start to see great textures they are, like little caterpillars growing into the leaves of the tree. Now, when we connect textures with music, we're often thinking about how these sounds work in several different ways. Perhaps we're thinking about how they would feel, how they would then sound. Connecting together the senses, sound and feel, is quite a difficult one. Perhaps the catkins feel soft. Maybe the music will be quiet. Maybe, in a sense, they are the beginning of new life, so maybe they're actually quite exciting. And bringing together these ideas is something that generally develops as you write a piece of music. I can't say it's a conscious process, and even trying to talk about it feels a bit strange. It's not something that I guess I voice particularly often. Just notice these trees down here as well. Let's just dive down here and explore these trees. I feel like they have some great textures as well. So we've got the barbed wire fence, and we've got these lovely old trees as well. The lichen growing on them again. Particularly here between these two trunks, we get a really good sense of just how grand these trees are. Try and give you an overview of how big it is. And then as we look along the line, we can see them all at the edge of this field, standing to attention. So connecting together these ideas is something that anyone can do. And I think even if you're just beginning your piano journey, I'd always encourage you to experiment with different sounds, putting together different notes, trying them out, seeing how they feel as you play your pieces. And although this feels like a relatively new concept in music, perhaps something even from the 1800s that wasn't particularly prevalent in a lot of mainstream music at the time. It's quite ancient, really. People have been singing songs of nature for probably thousands of years before we wrote music down, before anybody particularly thought about trying to talk about it on a YouTube video, that's for sure. So, as I say, with these telegraph poles as well, you've got to think how many conversations are traveling lightning speed through those wires. How many people's thoughts and memories over the years traverse those cables and settle on the end of a phone somewhere. Now, what I want to show you is actually lying down in this field over here. You can probably just make it out about here. The camera refocuses. And I'll get a little bit closer and show you what we can see. So before we head down and have a look at the surprise, I wanted to just take you a little bit further along so that I can double back and get there to something else which I find quite a good texture, good sight down this little path that we're on. And that's the pylon that's in the distance. Something that you don't see very close up. It's not a giant electric pylon, but it is nonetheless quite impressive. When you close up, you can really see the textures in the metal and get a sense of the power that's quite literally coursing through the cables high in the sky. So I wanted to bring you down to this rather tranquil field, and you can see here it's a nice open space. And nestled round the edge, we've got this fence with brambles curling around it. We've also got the little nails in the wood holding it together. And I think it's just such a great combination of textures. Again, you might look at this and get the idea of the spiky brambles trying to pull over this fence, which they probably will do by the looks of things. And I think in places it has collapsed slightly. So I'll try and show you some of those as we walk along the perimeter of this field. This field has always felt like a very tranquil place. I'm not sure what it's used for. We're just the other side of the riverbank now. And each side of the river, if I show you, has these very big hills. We can't even see the river now over the top of. There's a flood protection. This area is quite prone to floods. And the river hole can get a little bit deeper than it's supposed to. So here we are. And that's a good connection of the two things. We've got here the fence post connected to the barbed wire, taking over from the brambles as it rolls along. It's broken timbers connecting the paths together. And this one just coming apart down here. I'm not sure what these larger posts had a function of. Maybe there was a gate here at some point, or I think they might have been put in just to keep its strength up. And let's continue our quest on then, down the path to the pylon in the distance. So coming down to look here, we can see a lot of the paint is starting to chip away. The void in the middle is quite a good space. Not somewhere that is often treaded. And we've got the safety barbed wire at the top there, in case anyone's got any radical ideas of scaling this triangle based giant. Just have a little look up through the middle as well. Can write its own stories, really. So I was just on my way back from the electric pylon, and I noticed this little shallow here. Thought we could explore. I think a few doggy footprints in there. We can see the textures, the water, all glistening in this spring sunshine. Yeah, and it's not as warm as it looks, but it's still better than it was. What better place could you be if you wanted to write a piece of music? I mean, I wouldn't fancy getting my piano down here, but I will take these memories home with me and use them and see what we can create. So here we are back at the telegraph poles. I'm going to take a trip through the middle of these. They're a lot bigger than you think. You get up close, you can really see textures of the wood. If we move round, we can have the nice bright sunny side as well. Bits of tar running down would have been used to seal the wood. I'm guessing, I'm not an expert, just probable there. And then we can head over to what we've really come to see in the distance. Let's take a walk over. This field's a little ploughed, so I'll try and make it as least bumpy as I can. Actually, I'm going to go round. It's too bumpy. It's very windy on this field as well, so I hope the microphone's doing its job. Actually, the texture of this field as a whole is quite interesting. And again, the working natural landscape, especially up here in Yorkshire, is a big part of the heritage of this area. All of this area, in fact, where there's now lots of housing estates, you can see in the distance there, the housing estate ever growing, ever encroaching upon this ancient farmland. All of these farms long since gone, probably for, I would imagine, at least 30 or more years. All of this land now gradually turning into housing. So we can now see the colossal felled telegraph pole. Was found this quite a fascinating find. Not sure I've ever seen one lying on the ground. I'm not sure why it's here. Stories perhaps of it toppling in a storm. Maybe it just wore out. I'm guessing it would have been quite hard to remove as well, given this slightly gigantic side. The smell is something you won't get either. Even after all these years, it still smells like tar and wood. When the sun's been on it in particular, it's impressive just how much it still smells. It's quite a nice smell, in a very odd way. We've got the bolt sticking out there, holding the ginormous tree trunks together. Have a look at the rings on the wood. Such a great amount of texture in there for us to try and take. And even see the drips of paint underneath as well. Try and get that in focus. As we travel along, you can see some mysterious hieroglyphics in the side. Anyone knows what they mean, feel free to let me know. So leaving the telegraph pole behind, I'm going to head over here now and start to enter the village of Warn. Now alongside these trees is another little drainage. I think ditch is probably going to make it sound less picturesque, but I guess that's what it is. It's very, very deep. You definitely don't want to fall into that slimy mess down there. This heads up then to a little bridge through this rather picturesque tree tunnel. And having been on this walk a fair few times over the years, it's changed quite a lot. This field used to be full of tall grass. It's now cut back. It used to be quite tricky to get through this gap. Now it seems to have been trimmed back quite well. You can see little ridge it's down the side as well. Particularly like the two round circles of metal, some rivets probably holding the bridge together. You can see here as well some man-made steps heading down into the ditch. All of these things give the atmosphere to the place. So once you're over the bridge, we find ourselves walking down this classic country lane. You hear the birds chirping all around us, the wind in the trees. All the people can hear me apparently talking to myself, which I'm sure they're enjoying as well. Quite enjoy the way that this has the dappled sunlight coming through the trees. We can see the blossom just coming out as well now. The odd bird flitting back and forth. And there's some nice pink blossom up here as well. And so we finish our journey here today at Warn Village Church. You can see the ancient tower rising. I hope you've enjoyed today's journey and it inspires you with lots of different ideas for your musical pieces. And I hope to do more of these again in the future. I'll see you in the next video and hope you have some great creative journeys. Nah, not gonna lie back on that, so I'm just gonna fall over like an idiot.